NVIDIA finally closed as a $4 trillion company for the first time ever. We do have a lot of price target analyst increases for both AMD and NVIDIA. We also have some great numbers from TSMC. Unfortunately, we also do have some form of tariff updates. So let's take a closer look in today's episode.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so first, just a quick overview. We can see NVIDIA finished as a market cap of $4 trillion for the first time. So yesterday was the first time a company hit $4 trillion. Today is the first time a company closes as a $4 trillion company. All right, so the first thing I want to take a closer look at is US President Donald Trump on Thursday afternoon announced a 35% tariff on Canadian imports starting August 1st, citing that Ottawa had retaliated with tariffs against Washington. And Trump also added that the tariffs could be raised further or slashed depending on how the Washington and this Canadian relationship pans out. Now, unfortunately, the market is not too happy about something like this. I mean, why would it, right? We can see the S&P 500 is down roughly 0.4%. The NASDAQ is down roughly 0.37% as I am recording. The Russell is down roughly 0.6%. So there is some negativity for tomorrow morning. I was just taking a quick look at the overnight trading action from Robinhood, and NVIDIA, obviously a very popular company here, is down roughly 0.6% overnight. So there is some negative pressure, but nothing too crazy. I also wanted to kind of understand how this could be impactful for semiconductor and AI stock investors like myself. And obviously, I'm not an expert in tariffs. I'm not an expert in what country kind of correlates with what actual product or how it can impact the overall business. And there's not much here in forms of an AI or a kind of semiconductor market. Canada, while it is not a chip making giant, they do mention that they produce some materials needed and some metals like nickel and aluminum to kind of that is used in certain semiconductor production. The other thing is there are certain electronics that do come from Canada overall, but main level, there's nothing to really worry about as a semiconductor and AI investor. Now, what I want to do next is kind of take a closer look at these updates of various price target upgrades for both AMD and Nvidia. Just about maybe a little bit over 2 days ago, I had already done one like this, but the excitement keeps coming from analysts that in just the past 48 hours, we had companies like HSBC, Citi, and Goldman Sachs all raising or initiating new kind of territory for these semiconductor companies. Now, if you do follow this channel, you know that I don't really care much about price targets or anything like that, but I do enjoy reading the reason behind it and if it's something that I wasn't too familiar with. So if we start off, one of the first ones is HSBC. They rocketed AMD to a buy with the street high of $200 in price target, citing that the MI350 and the MI400 roadmap that makes AMD the only credible alternative to NVIDIA for data center AI. So obviously this is something we've been talking about, that the MI350 and the MI400 have huge potential. It seems HSBC is finally watching the channel. Next, we have Citi, followed by hiking AMD's price target to 145, flagging inventory troughs. I'm pretty sure I'm butchering there. And tariff reliefs. Overall, kind of a lot of the markets that AMD is in, the gaming, the consumer, the embedded market, are finally getting out of that bottom cycle, or find that bottom that now is a massive tailwind as these markets eventually start to pick back up. Now, on the NVIDIA side, Citi pushed to 190, while Goldman Sachs initiated a new price target and initiated coverage on NVIDIA to 185, calling CUDA indispensable. I think it's wild that a big firm like Goldman is just initiating something on NVIDIA, and they see sovereign AI deals layering billions of new revenue from fiscal year 26 onward. Again, a lot of this is stuff that we have talked about in this channel, so nothing new. But obviously, excitement like this could create some nice bullish sentiment for both NVIDIA and AMD. Regardless, we did see NVIDIA kind of sitting at that $4 trillion. Let's just take a closer look at what AMD is doing. AMD was up roughly 4% today, sitting at a market cap of $233 billion at $144. Now, the next thing I want to jump into is NVIDIA. There are reports that Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, met with President Donald Trump at the White House today. The reason for the meetout was not discussed or not shared to the public, but it does seem like Trump praised NVIDIA stocks in social media posts on Thursday morning. NVIDIA is up 47% since Trump tariffs. USA is taking in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. Trump posted on Truth Social, countries now back. Now, I mean, I think it's weird to kind of make it seem like Trump is the reason Nvidia stock is up. Obviously, from the downturn, the massive downturn that happened during the tariffs, the stock's up a nice amount. But year to date, the stock is only up about 18%, right? And from its overall peak, the stock is pretty much only up 11%, right? And I don't think it has any. I just want to say, I think it has nothing to do with tariffs or untariffs. The stock, in theory, would actually probably be sitting at much higher values, even if there was no tariffs and no export restrictions. But I am curious to see what the CEO of NVIDIA and the President of the United States were meeting, especially as we are hearing reports that NVIDIA is thinking about making the H20, not the H20, the B30 to China, right? That is, it's kind of questioning if NVIDIA is, and obviously we know that this current administration is one that likes to act on trade deals. So I wonder if NVIDIA says, look, we will build more products here in-house, but in return, we would like to ship certain chips to China. And I wouldn't be surprised if something like that is happening. So again, not to send the best chips, but to send testing of the lower end chips to China. So this is going to be interesting. Maybe in the upcoming weeks, we will get some updates here. But again, recently we have been hearing more and more news about the B30 finally entering or testing out some of the products in China, or customers in China. Now, the final topic I want to take a closer look at is TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing. This is the company that manufactures all these chips for big players like NVIDIA, for AMD, for Apple, and the list goes on and on. Well, this is a company that does report monthly numbers, and that's great for semiconductor investors. So they just reported their June 2025 numbers, and it was up 26% year over year, almost 27% year over year. Now, it did see a decrease of about 17.7% month over month. And if one is new to the semiconductor market, you might think, oh, wow, that is bad. And if you follow anybody in a social platform that told you this month over month decrease is a bad thing, I would just say I recommend you unfollowing them right away, because they don't traditionally follow the semiconductor space. For the semiconductor industry, month over month is it's not a great indication, because semiconductors tend to go on end products and consumers, and there are certain cycles that are a little bit better throughout the year than others. Now, on a year-over-year basis, from January to now of June 2025 versus January to June of 2024, year-over-year increase is 40%. That is wild. That is extremely, extremely wild. Now, if you want to get a little bit more coverage or just want to go a little bit more in depth, make sure to check out my newsletter, whatthechiphappened.com. It's completely free. And I talked about some pretty cool things today. Today, I talked obviously about TSMC's June sale numbers. Air Test System reported earnings yesterday. I talked about them in yesterday's video, but I do a little bit more in this newsletter today. And there is another kind of AI company, Penguin, that maybe some might be curious about, that I talk about for free, as that company did report earnings. So make sure to check out What the Chip Happened. Make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button, and see you all next time.